Okay, terrific recording from home today so I can get some work done over the weekend. A few notes on the second round of papers for you. This will be a quick video, then I'm going to give a longer video that's going to get into more, maybe in two parts, we'll see. At least I'll get one part done today. More bigger ideas for the course. I can make little micro corrections here, and I still believe that the real substance of the course comes from you getting edits from me on work that you've done, paying attention to them, close attention to them, making the necessary corrections, and that iterative learning process is where the real value is in learning writing this way. But there are still some bigger picture things. This is mostly the stuff that would come through lecture in a regular version of this class, every day coming, or twice a week coming to lecture. We don't have that luxury here, so what I'm really trying to do, and while I've put it off a couple times, I'm continually trying to distill the writing wisdom of a whole semester down to really just, I'm working on about 20, 21, 22 parts and trying to have it work that way. We got cat issues, hang on. Foolish felines. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to jump right into this, going through the papers one at a time here. Paper A, I've identified as paper A. The big lesson from paper A is, the summary is 3 lines long. That's not really sufficient here because you get your value here from. I'm gonna make a slight frame adjustment for the camera. I think that'll be better. You get better. Again, these summaries, which you've all pretty much finished now, but what you should have been doing with them is building them out in length in terms of the summary section, because that becomes the core of what's going to go into your literature review. This person not only did the literature review for this second article, they should have done more. It's going to be difficult to get enough out of this if there's so little in there. Just in terms of volume. It could be substantial. These sentences, are okay as they go, just not enough volume to be helpful on the next phase of the project. So, in any event, let me just put that one away and then I'll move on. Number 2, getting there. Which I've identified as paper B here, is first of all, there's an absence of I'm sorry, this is number B, yeah. There's an absence of citations in this paper inexplicably. If you don't have citations in a summary in your actual paper, it really renders it kind of null and void as an academic exercise. People who are going to be reading things you write have to know you're not making it up. And that's what citations are supposed to enable us to do. They're supposed to give us credibility. And without citations, that credibility is just not there. You can go back and backfill them, but that's, it still has to be there when you eventually push it out the door the first time. Okay. Identified as paper C here. Actually, let me go back to B for a minute. Let's say this way, because there's a sentence right at the beginning where it says authors, it names the authors, address increasing amounts of literature about party polarization. That's the sentence. The introductory sentence is, Carsey and company address increasing amounts of literature about voter polarization. That's a clunky, difficult sentence to start out with. I suggested instead Carsey and company, review the growing literature that concerns party polarization. Addressing increasing amounts of literature about, there's too many glue words in there, there's not enough substance to it the way it's running. It sounds clunky, it doesn't work well as a sentence. Also, and this is a secondary point too, we have to be careful. I'll go over this in the videos where I go to the bigger picture things. There's the idea of a generic cold open sentence that we see a lot in college writing. It's the effect of, since it was decided in 1973, Roe versus Wade has been a flashpoint for a social controversy, something along those lines. Since such and such a date, this thing that the paper is about has been increasingly a source of controversy. That generic cold open sentence comes up so often, and every instructor, every lecturer, every professor is tired of reading it. Every reader is tired of reading it. It doesn't work well for your paper. There are ways to avoid it and get around it. Most notably, I'll explain in the next video how you do that, or the video that gets to that point. But really be wary of that. That particular sentence is perilously close to being a generic cold open. Time is 4 minutes left. See how we go. So on the next paper, the problem with the next paper, the main problem, is that you've got an absence of explanation about the methodology. The reader doesn't know how this research was done at the end of the summary. The reader has no way of knowing unless you explain it, or they have to go look at the actual paper, and that defeats the purpose of writing a summary. So you have to be careful to always include an explanation of the methodology that the person or people who wrote the paper went through. This person also has used the percent sign in a few places and not written out the, if it's a number below 99, you should, a counting number below 99, you should write it out. I think I've covered that in other videos that I've done here. But that's a little problem going on with this one. Next paper, D. One of the issues here is doing the little things right. I'm big on that. I think it's important to get the little things right. So it's a strong paper all the way through. At the very end, you've got a situation where there's a quote around something, and then the punctuation is to the right side of the close of the punctuation or the close of the quotation. In American English, we always put the period or comma within the closing quotation mark. Garner, number 72 on the Quick Editorial Guide on page 752 to 753 covers this. But it's one of those things that will hurt. It hurts you because people who know the rule look at your writing, and when they see that, they do what I do. They say, oh, not good. Not good. It makes people judge your writing when you break those little rules. Some are more judgy than others. Maybe that's why I'm in education. I can't let it go, but you need to pay attention to that stuff because it has an impact on your writing and how it's evaluated. Paper E, issues around capitalization. Now what this person did was they followed the format of the article that they had. The article they had, the person who wrote the article kept on capitalizing black and white, referring to race. That's not correct. I'm not deducting points here or anything for following what the article did, but be aware everything you see in articles, everything you read on a page is not always correct. Certainly if it's something like Latino or Hispanic, because those are places, right, the Latin Americas and Hispaniola. You do capitalize those, but you don't capitalize white and black. If it's at the beginning of a sentence, you do. But other than that, no, that's not correct. So again, there's no loss of points there, and the person was following what the article said, and that's usually a good rule. But think for your own sometimes, and realize that the articles you read aren't always correct on everything. This is another one that somewhere in here I thought this was the article. I could be wrong. I might have missed a correction in here. Maybe it was the last one. One of these articles, somebody wrote 70% with the Arabic numerals. Yeah, there it is. Arabic numerals and a percent sign, and I missed that. So I should have corrected. Should definitely have corrected that. So that's the timer here. I'm going to finish up quickly. I don't want to go over and have issues with YouTube uploading. two more papers quickly. Here's a paper from a student where the problem is not paying attention to previous edits. I told them italicize journal name, not italicized. I gave them the format. I gave everyone the format for noting down citations. Page number, lowercase p with a dot, space, page number. They're just not doing it. The problem is that during the regular semester I have 125 students maybe. I can't keep track of who's following and not following edits so closely. Here with like 9 or 10 of you, I can see exactly if you're following my edits or not. And it's going to be a distraction to me if you're not. I put a lot of time into these edits, a lot of effort, and when people don't follow them, it causes me this existential crisis. Why am I here? Why do I exist? Why am I doing this? If you're not paying attention to the edits, you're not getting any better as a writer. You're repeating the same edits, so you're going to come out of here exactly as you went in. That doesn't work well for your grade. In any event, I take that seriously. You really have to pay attention to the edits and make sure if I give you a correction, it doesn't show up as a problem again, because it's very easy for me now to tell who's following directions and who's ignoring them. Last one, winding up here. Grammarly issues. Lots of corrections here from Grammarly that weren't followed. I realize Grammarly is not correct about everything, but quite a few of these Grammarly corrections were good and were not followed. So either this person doesn't have Grammarly, I can't tell for sure, or they have Grammarly and they're making conscious choices to ignore Grammarly edits, which occasionally makes sense. Grammarly, again, is not perfect, but it's right way more often than it's wrong. Or they have Grammarly, but they're not bothering to put in the edits. And these are things like, you put a comma in, Grammarly took it out, but you left it in. When I put these Microsoft Word documents through Grammarly, I see the same corrections you see. So it just raises a question to me: why are you not following Grammarly? Are you making these choices consciously, which doesn't make sense because these are bad choices, or you just don't have Grammarly? None of those is good from my perspective. And anyway, those are the problems with these. They are getting better. I see a lot in here to be happy about. These videos aren't about the things that make me happy, though. They're about the things that need to be addressed for future writings. You're done with the summaries now, so some of the stuff, well, I think all of it can be used down the road. But now you work on the introduction, so try to carry all this over to those.